I'm sure most Mavericks fans felt pretty excited going into the season last year, coming off a finals appearance in 2024 and having one of the best young players in the NBA in Luka Doncic. The fan base had a lot to be excited about. The Mavericks front office also made some solid additions last offseason, bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie, Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall, and Klay Thompson. So from a fan's perspective, all signs pointed to the Mavs reloading for another NBA Finals run, but everything changed halfway through the season when Nico Harrison made one of the craziest trades in NBA history.
Back to our breaking news here on SportsCenter. Massive trade happening in the NBA right now. The Dallas Mavericks are trading Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick.
The Mavericks hadn't been playing up to expectations at that point in the season, sitting at 26-24 in the 9th seed in the Western Conference, but trading away someone like Luka Doncic was simply unheard of. After his first season in the NBA, where he won Rookie of the Year, he followed that up with 5 straight All-NBA first-team appearances, 5 straight All-Star appearances, and 5 straight seasons where he finished top 8 in MVP voting. And it's important to keep in mind, at only 26 years old, Luka hasn't even entered his prime yet. If you made it this far in the video, it probably means that you like NBA content, so I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'm on the road to 300 subscribers, and I'm trying to form a community of people that love basketball. Thanks. Anyways, it's safe to say that Mavericks fans were not happy about this trade at all.
I've been a Mavs fan my whole entire life since I've been a baby. This is the worst moment in the history of my life.
I'm not a Mavs fan, but that was an extremely valid crash out. And things just kept getting worse for the Mavs. A month later in a game against the Kings, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL. And let's not forget Anthony Davis, who fans criticized for being much older than Luka and being extremely injury prone. In his debut with the Mavs, he put on an absolute show for one half before he got hurt. Again. I mean, he had Nico Harrison looking like a genius for about 24 minutes. He had 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists at halftime, but him getting hurt was honestly just comical. Like, you can't write anything better than that. Nico was getting absolutely flamed online and on TV, so he was probably feeling himself during that first half, and he was ready to do an interview after the game, telling everyone to see, this is what I told you, Anthony Davis is the future, and he's a way better defender, but that just didn't happen, because he got hurt. The Mavs would end up finishing as the 10th seed in the Western Conference and went on to beat the Kings in the first round of the play-in before falling short against the Grizzlies in the second round. This put the Mavericks into the NBA draft lottery, where they had the 11th best odds to land the number 1 pick with a 1.8% chance. And as luck would have it, the Mavericks did end up getting the number 1 overall pick in this year's NBA draft, which means that they had the right to draft Cooper Flagg. Now, when this news officially came out that the Mavericks had the first overall pick, a lot of NBA fans were quick to say that the NBA draft lottery was rigged. And I'm not going to lie, I completely agree with them. If you take a step back, the Luka Doncic trade makes a whole lot more sense if the NBA draft lottery was rigged. If Adam Silver went to Nico Harrison ahead of time and said, hey, we need a star in LA because it's a big market and they play a ton of nationally televised games and we want a star in LA like Luka Doncic to grow the game of basketball and we'll give you the number 1 pick so you can have Cooper Flagg, Nico Harrison would be an idiot to say no. And that's even if he had a choice. Regardless if the draft lottery was rigged or not, if I'm a Dallas Mavericks fan, I'm pretty happy about how everything ended up. They essentially traded Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, Markieff Morris, who doesn't even get real rotational minutes anymore, for Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, Max Christie, and a first-round pick. Personally, I think that the Mavericks roster going into this next season is better than it would have been if they never did the Luka Doncic trade. And I understand that Luka Doncic is a generational type of player, but when Nico Harrison said that he was out of shape and terrible on defense, he wasn't wrong. He has some of the worst defensive habits that I've ever seen from a star player. And yes, I completely understand that he shoulders a ton of load on offense, but that doesn't excuse how lazy he is on defense. I mean, this guy has absolutely zero motor on the defensive end of the floor. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else in the NBA that's 6'7" get picked on so much on defense. At this point, other NBA players know that he's not going to slide his feet, so they just blow by him every time. He also gambled for steals way too often. He's just not athletic enough to get in the lanes like that. But what I think is the most frustrating is that when he turns it over, and sometimes it's a bad turnover, he just refuses to get back on defense. Or if he feels a little bit of contact, instead of getting back on defense, he just complains to the ref. And I don't think he's supposed to be some all-NBA defensive caliber defender, but at least show some more effort and hustle and some heart on that end of the floor. Like I said, I understand that Luka is a generational type of player, but anyone that tries to claim that his defense is passable or that it's fine because he does so much on offense is honestly just glazing. His defense is absolutely terrible. And realistically, it's pretty hard to win a championship with Luka as the best player because you have to have basically a perfect roster around him filled with 3-and-D players that are really good at defense and can hit open threes and a center that can catch lobs. I also feel like when this trade happened, people just completely disrespected how good Anthony Davis is. The first thing that people always bring up with AD is that he's extremely injury prone, but this is just really exaggerated at this point. I mean, if people have concerns about AD's health, they should have those same concerns about Luka. During his career, AD has played 61 games per season on average. Compare this to Luka, who has played 64 games per season on average. But if you talk to the average NBA fan, they'd probably tell you that AD is made of glass, and they make it sound like he plays around 30 to 40 games a season, which is just simply not true. Another thing that kind of bothered me when the trade went down was that people were talking about AD like he's not a top 10 player in the NBA. This is a guy that has made 4 All-NBA first teams, 5 All-NBA defense teams, has finished top 4 in Defensive Player of the Year voting 4 separate times, and sure, he might be past his prime, but last season, he still put up 24 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal a night. The point is, when AD's on the court, he's definitely still a top 10 player in the NBA, and anyone that says otherwise just simply doesn't know ball. With Kyrie Irving out for next season, Anthony Davis is going to be the number 1 scoring option on the Mavs, and I think they're going to be a really good basketball team. Even without Kyrie Irving, the Mavericks still have one of the best rosters in the entire NBA. I mean, just listen to how deep this team is. Anthony Davis, Cooper Flagg, Klay Thompson, D'Angelo Russell, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Najee Marshall, Caleb Martin, Max Christie, Jaden Hardy, Dwight Powell, Dante Exum, and that's not even to mention Kyrie Irving when he comes back. Since they needed a starting point guard for this season with Kyrie rehabilitating his injury, they lost Spencer Dinwiddie, but they did bring in D'Angelo Russell, which I think is a great signing for them. He's a great playmaker and a good shooter, and he provides the team with much needed shot creation, as they basically only have Anthony Davis and then Cooper Flagg, but he has to figure it out because he's still going to be a rookie. If I had to guess, I'd say the opening night starting lineup will be D'Angelo Russell, Klay Thompson, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and then either Daniel Gafford or Derek Lively. I would love to see PJ Washington be a starter because I'm a big fan of his game, but I think they have to have Klay out there just for the spacing, especially with Lively and Gafford not being able to shoot. And Cooper Flagg isn't exactly known as a three-point shooter, and he's probably going to have an adjustment period to the NBA three-point line. But as soon as Cooper figures out his three-point shot, if I was the coach of the Mavericks, I'm taking out Klay and I'm putting in PJ Washington. That starting lineup would be absolutely massive, and the defense would be insane. I'd also argue that the Mavericks have the best front court rotation in the entire NBA, with Anthony Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and PJ Washington. And I'd also argue that the Mavericks have the best collection of 3-and-D role players that are on their bench. Max Christie, Najee Marshall, and Caleb Martin could all start on other NBA teams because they all play great defense, they can all shoot the 3-ball, and they all have a little bit of shot creation ability. I mean, Max Christie and Caleb Martin both have a career high of 28 points, and Najee Marshall's career high is 38 points. So if they're given the opportunity, all 3 of these guys can go out there and get buckets, which is an absolute luxury to have for a contending team coming off the bench. The Mavericks also have a very underrated guard rotation with guys like Jaden Hardy, Dante Exum, Ryan Nembhard, and Brandon Williams. Jaden Hardy and Brandon Williams can both flat out score the basketball. They're not the best playmakers in the world, but they can put the ball in the hoop. Dante Exum is just a solid role player. He plays extremely hard on defense, he'll hit his open threes, and he's a decent playmaker. And then Ryan Nembhard is extremely underrated. He led all of Division I in assists last season, putting up the 5th most assists in NCAA history. He went undrafted in this year's draft, but then was quickly signed to a 1-year deal by the Dallas Mavericks and absolutely impressed in Summer League, putting up 11.7 points and 6.7 assists a night in limited minutes, and was shut down after only 3 games, which is almost unheard of for an undrafted free agent. He's probably going to get very limited minutes this season, but if he can take advantage, he can definitely earn a spot in the rotation. While the Mavericks might not have the most star power on their roster, they have one of the most well-built rosters in the entire NBA. Led by Anthony Davis and Cooper Flagg, they've surrounded them with excellent role players that fit them perfectly. Most people are counting out the Mavericks just because Kyrie Irving is injured, but I still expect them to be a top 6 seed in the loaded Western Conference next season. And if Kyrie Irving was able to return for the playoffs, the NBA is going to be terrified. Although that seems extremely unlikely for next season, I think the Mavericks are in a perfect position to contend for a championship for the next 3 or 4 years following next season, especially if Cooper Flagg is as good as advertised. This Mavericks team is extremely loaded, and I think that they could be the future best team in the NBA between 2027 to 2030, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they win a championship during that time. But that's just my take. What do you guys think? How do you feel about the Mavericks going into next season? What seed are they going to finish in the Western Conference? Are they going to make a finals run? If Kyrie comes back, is the league in trouble? And how do you feel about the future of the Mavericks as a whole? Let me know down in the comments. And if you made it this far in the video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.
This is ridiculous. This is crazy, man. We went to the NBA Finals. Why are we trading the best player, the franchise player? How are we trading the franchise player? We went to the NBA Finals. He's supposed to have a statue. Hell yeah. He's supposed to have a statue. Dirk got a statue right there. It's supposed to be Luka right there. Why we don't got a statue for Luka? This new management is putting profit over fans. Profit over fans. Feel me? They're not worried about the fans. They don't care that we've invested 7 years of it believing in Luka, believing in building a team around Luka. They don't care about that. They just want to make their gambling money, make a couple $100 million, and leave us stuck out here. You know, now we're back to square one. We're back to square zero. You feel me?